The Raleigh, North Carolina Triangle metro area is one of the fastest growing areas in the entire country and one of the most sought after places for people to move to. But that being said, there's still people leaving the Triangle area. On today's video, we're going to figure out why people are leaving and what it means to you if you're considering a move here. So before we get started with the list of all the reasons people are leaving the Raleigh area, please know we're not saying that this is not a good place to live and that people are leaving by the hundreds of thousands. That's not the case. There's certain reasons why people are moving, and quite frankly, the majority of people that are leaving Raleigh city limits are actually moving to the suburbs around Raleigh. So just because people are moving out of Raleigh doesn't mean that necessarily they're moving out of the area. So with all that out of the way, the first reason people are leaving Raleigh, North Carolina is the cost of living. So as Raleigh has become more and more popular with people from all over the country and really all over the world, the cost of living has gone up and up and up. This makes it harder for some Raleigh residents to afford to live here. And unfortunately, this has driven people out of the city of Raleigh and they've had to move to other parts of the area and other parts of the country. So the second reason people are leaving Raleigh, North Carolina, and it kind of goes along with the first reason of cost of living. So the second reason is cost of housing. So certainly the cost of housing in Raleigh, North Carolina is nothing like it is in many parts of the country. In fact, we get people every day calling us that are wanting to move here that are shocked how good of a deal we have here and how relatively less expensive it is to move to Raleigh, North Carolina versus wherever they're coming from, generally California, Florida, New York area, that kind of thing. That all being said, although it's relatively inexpensive for those people, if you are a local resident of Raleigh, you've very much been priced out of the cost of housing here in Raleigh, North Carolina. There's a good number of people that are in rentals that were waiting for the market crash that has unfortunately never come. I say unfortunately because there's been a lot of people who've staked their future housing plans on the fact that the $500,000 Raleigh houses were going to be worth $250,000 now. Wait, it's going to happen now. Wait, it's going to happen now. And they've been saying it for 3 or 4 years. We've done lots of videos on this topic. So there's people in rental properties right now waiting for the housing crash. It's not happening. It hasn't happened. It may not happen. Who knows? There's also people who live in Raleigh, who own in Raleigh, and they live in a relatively large house that doesn't suit them anymore. And they unfortunately can't afford to buy a smaller house because smaller houses have gotten more expensive than what their house is worth and all of that. So unfortunately, the cost of housing has priced a lot of people out of the Raleigh area. And unfortunately, we do have people from all over the country who come to us and they want to spend a certain price band and stay in a certain price band. And unfortunately, there's very few areas of Raleigh that will work for them. And so Raleigh won't work as a city to move to. And just so you know, the median home price for a home in Raleigh currently is coming in at $461,000. Whereas by contrast, in the suburbs around Raleigh, you can get a home, median home price somewhere around $350,000 to $375,000, which is a dramatic difference. So what this is doing is it's causing a lot of people that either currently live in Raleigh or are thinking of moving to Raleigh and can't quite budget it to move to some of the other areas around us. The advantage of that, of moving to one of the suburbs, is you still are able to take advantage of all of the restaurants and shopping and cultural events that you have here in Raleigh without having to bear the brunt of the Raleigh housing prices. Another reason people are leaving the Raleigh, North Carolina city limits, they're tired of the traffic and the long commute. Now, again, if you're coming from Boston, Los Angeles, New York, yada, 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 big city, you're going to laugh at the long commutes and traffic jams we have here in Raleigh. It's not much of anything, I think, compared to what most people deal with. But that being said, if you're a longtime resident, I've lived in the Raleigh area since 1986, you've seen an increase of traffic here and you understand that it takes a long time to get from point A to point B. You're looking at 30 minutes, 45 minutes for a trip that used to take 15 to 20 minutes. And so that gets a little bit frustrating, especially if you've got to be somewhere and you thought you left on time and now you're sitting in traffic and people are poking along, generally because they're on their cell phone looking down and hopefully watching our videos, but please don't watch our videos while you're driving. So that being said, traffic traffic has become a problem for people and it's causing some frustration. And there's people who are leaving. They're moving out of Raleigh, North Carolina because they can't deal with how long it takes to get from point A to point B. Another reason people are leaving Raleigh, you have to drive to get pretty much anywhere. And it kind of goes along with that drive time thing I was just talking about. Raleigh is not a very walkable city. That's a big negative for a lot of people. It's almost like a mini Los Angeles, where you remember from the movie where the guy got in his car and drove 10 houses down to go visit a friend because he didn't walk. It's not quite that bad here. People still do walk. But by and large, if you have to go to the grocery store, you have to go to the pharmacy, you have to go to wherever, you're going to need to have a car, you're going to need to drive. That's a bit of a frustration for people, especially if you're coming from, say, New York City or a big city where driving is not really something that you do. You do more walking or subway or bus or whatever. Here in the Raleigh area, you're pretty much going to have a car, and that can be frustrating to a lot of people and a big shock to people. I can also see people who are longtime residents who are not used to driving a lot, and now because things have changed around and things have been torn down and that's now an apartment complex and now you have to drive even further to get to the grocery store, that can be frustrating. And so a lot of people are leaving because they have to do driving in Raleigh. Another reason people are leaving Raleigh, the population boom. So with so many people coming into our area, and we are, again, one of the top 3 probably most popular places that people from all over or everywhere are moving to. With that population boom, it's caused some frustration with the locals. Again, I've been here for quite a while and I've seen it. It's very dramatic how difficult it is to get around because there's so many people. It's very difficult these days to get reservations at some of the top restaurants, stuff that you have to plan out for days or a week in advance. Now, again, in New York, Los Angeles, San Fran, etc., I'm sure there's 6-month waits to get into like the great restaurants. I get that. That's just not something we're used to here in Raleigh. And that population boom can be a bit of frustration for people who've been here for quite a while. They may say, you know what? I'm tired of dealing with this. There's too many people here. Now, flip side of that, of course, is you get some amazing things coming to the area when the population increases. I'm thinking about the RH store that's coming to North Hills with the amazing restaurant on the top floor. That's going to be opening in like August, September. We cannot wait for this. There's only like 30 of these on the entire planet, and one of them is coming to Raleigh, North Carolina. Obviously, RH knows something big is coming on, and we are an up-and-coming city if we haven't already up and arrived. And then of course you think about the new Disney neighborhood that's coming to Pittsboro, North Carolina. Disney doesn't like just willy-nilly put neighborhoods anywhere. There's only 2 going to be in the entire planet coming up. This story living neighborhoods coming up once the one in Pittsboro's online. I say all this to say we're an up-and-coming area. The population boom has been a great benefit to many people. It's just something that you have to deal with and accept that there's change coming. But for people who don't like change, they gotta look to think about moving somewhere else. Another reason people are leaving Raleigh, to find more southern hospitality and a more rural setting. So I am a forever resident of North Carolina. I was born on the coast. There's certain customs and ways we go about doing things in the South, like opening the door for people and being nice and waving to perfect strangers and talking with your neighbors as you're walking the evil Winston Australian Shepherd through your neighborhood. That's something that newcomers aren't used to, and quite frankly, longtime residents are used to, and we want that sort of southern hospitality. Unfortunately, with Raleigh changing and more out-of-towners moving here, it kind of dilutes that southern culture. And so a lot of longtime residents or medium-time residents of Raleigh have decided to move away and get away from the hustle and bustle and get to some more of that southern hospitality and more of a rural feel. Again, a lot of these people are moving to the suburbs of Raleigh, where you can still get that small town vibe, you can still get that southern hospitality and that rural feel if you so desire. Now again, I need to emphasize, we get people every day calling us. They want to move here. They come here for an exploratory trip to decide where they want to live. They are blown away with how incredibly nice people are in Raleigh, and I'm not saying in any way that people in Raleigh now are mean or like run you off the road or any of that sort of thing. What I am saying is the southern hospitality with the magnolia trees and the how y'all feeling today. that is kind of disappearing from Raleigh. And so in order to get that, you oftentimes need to move to a more rural setting like one of the suburbs around Raleigh. The next reason people are leaving Raleigh, North Carolina is actually the flip of what we just talked about with wanting a more quiet, rural setting lifestyle. It's that people move here and they are shocked by the fact that most things close at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And on weekends, you're not able to go to a nightclub that's open 24 hours a day. So there's certainly places in this country like New York, like Boston, LA, San Fran, etc., where you have that go, go, go lifestyle. Unfortunately, Raleigh is not one of those cities. There's still places you can go and stay out for many, many late hours or that happen to be open 24 hours a day. But by and large, most restaurants, even on weekends, close at like 11 o'clock at night. I've told the story on this channel many times how we were going to the airport to take an early flight out the next day. And so we decided to stay at a hotel really near the airport so we didn't have to get up that early. And we didn't have time to eat dinner. We were probably filming one of these videos. So we get to the airport around 8:45 at night in that area, check into the hotel, and then go set about finding something for a late dinner. Everything was closed. The only thing open was Waffle House, and they were like closing down for an hour to change shifts. It was the craziest thing in the world. So we ended up having to go like to a convenience store and get a sandwich. It was that bad. That's just an example of how things are in our area. Unfortunately, most weeknights, things close around 10 o'clock at night. So if you are wanting to have a late meal on a Wednesday night, you may be out of luck. It's something you need to prepare for, and certainly something we didn't prepare for when we headed to the airport that night. Lesson learned. Now we know, take a break and eat dinner at 6, 7, 8 o'clock and then get back to filming these videos. But that's something that's an aggravation for some people. And obviously most people moving to our area are moving for a better way of life, a more slower way of life, and maybe a great job opportunity. And that whole having fun on a Wednesday night at 1 a.m. is probably not a big deal for them. But just to let you know, there are people who move here, expect sort of to have a mini version of New York City, and frankly, we're not there. We may never get there. And so there's people who are unfortunately having to move away and leave us and move back to a bigger city where they can have that rah-rah, go lifestyle. Another reason people are leaving Raleigh, lots are getting smaller and smaller for new homes. And again, unfortunately, those new homes are getting more and more expensive. So unless you are spending over $2 million, expect your lot to be relatively small. I'm talking 0.1 acres or 0.2 acres, somewhere in that range. And those are not tiny lots, but they're also not super large lots either. Expect that you're going to be fairly close to your neighbors, and the land that you have is going to be small and minimal. Or unfortunately, you may be stuck having to deal with living in a townhome, buying a townhome. That is what's typically being built right now, new construction, under the $1 million range in Raleigh. And so for a lot of people, that's a frustration. They maybe are renting, or they have a house and they want to downsize, and they're deciding, I don't want to live on a tiny lot. I want a decent piece of land. And in fact, we get people from all over the country that contact us to help them buy a house. And one of their main criteria is they need a lot that's a half an acre or an acre or bigger, because they don't want to be on top of their neighbors. Living in Raleigh, North Carolina, that's something you're going to have to accept, that in general, the lot you're buying, especially if you're buying new construction, is going to be on the smaller side. And this all kind of feeds into the next reason why people are leaving Raleigh, North Carolina. They're looking for more bang for their buck. So there's a new neighborhood that we are looking at for some clients right now that's coming online. It's still a dirt lot with a road going through it. This is houses starting at $1 million plus. The lot size, again, like we just talked about being small, the lot size is 0.13 acres, and the homes are going to be around 3,500 to 5,500 square feet. So that is a nice house, but that is still $1 million house. You can get a very nice house out in the suburbs and spend a lot less money for a lot more land, a lot more square footage. And so a lot of people are leaving Raleigh because they want more bang for their buck. The price per square foot in Raleigh is certainly much higher than you're going to find in Clayton, Garner, Fuquay, Varina, Pittsboro, yada, 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 on and on and on. So for that reason, people come to us and they say, here's our budget. we want this much square footage, and we have to say to them, well, you're going to need to move to Rolesville, you're going to need to move to Pittsboro, you're going to need to move to Garner, one of the suburbs around Raleigh, because to get what you want in Raleigh is going to unfortunately be more money than you want to spend. The next reason people are leaving Raleigh, North Carolina, the frustration that we do not have a Major League Baseball, NFL football team, or an NBA basketball team here in the Raleigh area. So this is something that I think a lot of people move here and they see that we're growing, and that we unfortunately don't have those kind of sports teams yet, and that is something that some people hang their hat on that they must have. Now, bear in mind, if you're a hockey fan, we do have an NHL professional league hockey team, the Carolina Hurricanes. We are one of the most popular hockey teams in the entire country. We sell out most games all of the time. It's a great team, and it's something that the area has really rallied around. We also have the United Soccer League NC Football Club and the National Women's Soccer Team, the NC Courage, here in our area. So we have pro soccer, but unfortunately we don't have NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. There's rumblings that Major League Baseball is looking at the Raleigh area, but nothing is confirmed yet. Nothing is official. And so a lot of people are stuck if they don't like hockey, they don't like soccer, or they don't like college teams. And certainly we have some of the best college sports teams in the entire country here in the Triangle. But if you're not into all of those things and you absolutely have to root for an NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball team, Raleigh may not be for you, and people unfortunately have been leaving because of that and moving to another city that maybe has one of those sports teams. Another reason people are leaving Raleigh, North Carolina to move to Florida, South Carolina, and Georgia. So although Florida is currently the number 3 place that people from all over everywhere are moving to, and that our team is helping, a good number of people still are moving out of Raleigh and moving to Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. Now, why is this? Well, obviously their climate is a little bit warmer than ours. Certainly Florida's is a lot warmer than ours. Some people get tired of having the 4 seasons. Our winter is not brutally, terribly like Minnesota cold. But that being said, we still do have cold weather. Moving to Florida, moving to Georgia, moving to South Carolina means you're going to have less of that cold weather, less of the fall time, more of the summertime. And so some people are frustrated with having our weather and have decided to move further south to get away from it. Now again, a lot of those people decide to change their mind and head back this way. But that being said, that is a reason that a good number of people are leaving Raleigh and moving out of the area. Still another reason people are leaving Raleigh, to move to the North Carolina coast. So Wilmington in particular is sort of a mini Raleigh. It's really great town. I grew up very near Wilmington, and it has a lot of the features of Raleigh, a lot of good restaurants and shopping and all that. Plus it's on the beach. So a good number of people are not thrilled with being landlocked in Raleigh and having to go to the lake to get their water fix and ocean fix. So they decide to move to Wilmington and have that beach lifestyle in Wilmington. Another thing people are doing in Raleigh, by the way, incidentally as a sidebar, is they're buying second houses in the Wilmington area, in the beach area, so that they sort of can get that fix and have a 2-hour drive doing it. But again, some people just don't want to deal with driving 2 hours to get to the beach. They'd rather drive 2 minutes. And for them, living in Raleigh is not a good fit, and they decide to move down to the coast near Wilmington and all of the Crystal Coast area. Another reason people are leaving Raleigh, North Carolina, job relocation. So as everyone probably knows, Raleigh and the Triangle area in general is a hotbed for job opportunities. People are moving here hourly, if not daily, for a new amazing job. But that being said, people that live here maybe move away or have to move away for a job opportunity somewhere else. Maybe they get a promotion and they have to move to another corporate office that they had worked at here, and now they're having to go to San Francisco or whatever. That could happen. So that is a reason people are leaving our area. Luckily, we're not losing a ton of people doing that, because a lot of people are staying here and creating their own companies, and the Raleigh area has become an incubator for new businesses. But that being said, people are still leaving Raleigh for job opportunities. And along those lines, job opportunities is the next reason people are leaving. Raleigh, they came here for college, they stayed a while, and they've got a better opportunity for some other job in some other city, somewhere, wherever. And so now they're having to relocate out of Raleigh for this great job opportunity, and they're young and they've got their whole lives ahead of them. Certainly a lot of those people do move back because the opportunities, once they get the experience somewhere else, the opportunities here are amazing. But that being said, there's a certain number of people who go to college, live here for a little bit of time, and then move away for an amazing job opportunity. And another reason people are leaving Raleigh, North Carolina, they moved here during the pandemic and now have decided to move back from wherever they came from. So lots of people were leaving the big cities for a more quieter lifestyle during the pandemic. They had the work from home opportunities. They could really work from anywhere. So they've done that. They've lived here in Raleigh. It's maybe not their cup of tea. Again, maybe they want to be out enjoying life at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday night. That's certainly, again, not what we have here in the Raleigh area. So now those people are leaving Raleigh and moving back to a bigger city. Certainly Raleigh is not for everyone, but again, for a good number of people, the pace of life that you have in the Raleigh area, and Raleigh as a city itself, is just perfect. But again, for some people that want the go lifestyle, maybe moving back to New York or Boston or San Fran or LA or some other big city is the right thing for them. So if you're considering a move either into or out of Raleigh, North Carolina, contact us at the info below. We'll be happy to help you out. Check out this video. We think you're going to like this one as well. And like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.